What's up, superheroes? Welcome to another episode of 21 Day Hero Show. 21 Day what, you say? Exactly, you heard it right. From now on, our podcast will be named 21 Day Hero Show instead of Hustle Duo Show. And of course, along with the website and social media and basically all the brand, from now on it changes to 21 Day Hero. And you might be wondering why. Well, the initial idea of the Hustle Duo was that me and my wife Davila, we would go on these challenges, try different routines and habits, and we would basically do that, document it, and put it on YouTube and other channels. But we kind of grown away from that initial idea, and we needed a brand that represents the core of our activities much better and put you guys at the center of attention, our community. So we thought 21 Day Hero will represent us much better. It will give a hint that our core activity is actually doing these 21-day challenges for body and mind, and our core belief that everybody's a superhero and you can really kind of acquire the superpowers by going onto these challenges. So here we go. We're still the same people doing the same things, just simply a new brand called 21 Day Hero. Anyway, so in this episode, I chat with my guest Patricia Lohan, who's a life coach, Feng Shui expert, and a female entrepreneur who has built a successful lifestyle for herself by leading a mindful life full of energy, passion, and positivity. And in this episode, we chat about things like what is Feng Shui and how to use it to create life full of health and wealth. What are the effects of colors in our living space? How to declutter our life and how to align our inner energy with the energy of our living and working spaces. So definitely super interesting episode full of amazing practical advice that you guys could implement right away. And so I hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, let's say hi to Patricia. Hi, Patricia, and welcome to the Hustle Duo Show.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for being here and for inviting me to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, actually. First of all, I love your backdrop. Life is amazing.
Yes. I love
That's
it
great. That's probably the most perfect backdrop I ever seen. So that's you should be hosting a podcast if you're not doing it yet, because this is already amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So Patricia, I'm really excited, to talk about something I really have no knowledge about, and we just had a laugh before that I don't even know how to pronounce it correctly, but you were so kind to tell me that there's no right or wrong there. Yeah. But we'll talk about Feng Shui or something like that.
Feng Shui,
yeah,
Feng Shui, whatever you want to call it, it's
whatever.
All good.
We all talk about the same thing, so we're gonna definitely talk about that. Learn more about the practice, how to do it correctly. What is it for? What kind of people would benefit from it the most? And just some practical information how to apply it to your everyday life and your surroundings. But first thing first, and I would love to know more about you. And actually, I want to know, what's your biggest superpower right now?
So my biggest superpower is my passion for what I do. And when I do something and put my energy into it, like when I'm really passionate, so this isn't like my first business, and I've had like many businesses, and people are always just like, you're so passionate about it. And I think hopefully you'll hear my passion. I think that's it, because my enthusiasm and passion for what I do becomes infectious and people catch it, which is really beneficial. But I also, it's my passion for finding things that help people create better lives. And that's essentially what my journey has been with Feng Shui and with all of the other modalities that I've trained in. And then people are like, wow, okay, well, let's give it a go. So it's like building that like trust through my passion for people around something that they might be nervous about or scared of. And like Feng Shui could sound like something scary and weird. And I know that because of my enthusiasm and passion for it, people are like, oh, okay. And it gets their attention. And then they start thinking, oh, it's not as scary as it actually sounds.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's interesting. So is this energy, this passion, does it just comes right to you like as soon as you get up from the bed, or is there some sort of a practice you have, some routines you do that, to boost that energy up?
I feel like that I naturally have a lot of passion when I'm doing something I love. Like it's very easy for me to just keep the momentum going and have persistence when I'm just know that I'm getting and seeing amazing results around me. So my clients' results is actually the driving force for me. Like when I started and like Feng Shui, it was because I already had the seed of interest in it since I was a kid. And then when I trained in it, I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And like the first thing I thought of was like, my clients need this. Like, I can't wait to do it in their houses. So that was really good. And then when they started seeing the results, and that's really what just keeps spurring me on, because I'm like, more people need to know about this. There's more people out there that haven't heard like how this can help them, and they're blocked in some part of their life. And that really is a big driving force for me, because when you kind of get out of your own way about it, and I know, and sometimes when we start a business, we can be in like survival mode and fear and like, I got a client and I got money and like that. And that like makes it a bit harder. But when you're kind of past that stage in your business, like all it is like more people need to know about this and how it can beneficial it can be. So that's where it comes from me. Now, I do have a lot of my own practices, like spiritual practices, that sometimes go on pause and sometimes keep going. Like I've been in Ashtangi for many, many, many years. I've lived in India, meditation, sound healing, like there's lots and lots of those things. I'm an intuitive, so like I'll naturally be able to, like if I'm feeling a bit off, I'll just pick some cards for myself and they'll tell me what's going on, you know? So there's a lot of tools that are ongoing that I take for granted, really, like practices for journaling and intention setting and all that. Like I do all of that, but it's not like I have a set rigid rules of how I do everything, when and how.
Gotcha.
I'm more fluid with it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I think it's also, let's say, it helps to be more energetic the places you live, right? Like, I mean, you currently live in Bali, in Ubud. It's really, one of the most amazing places I've been. It's so super green, it's so super fresh, and it's warm, and the people are so nice around. So
yeah, for sure. And like for me, it's like creating your environment. So things that don't make me feel comfortable or unhappy, I'm really good at clearing that out of my life. You know, like we're really good at being clear with what we want and calling that in and creating that environment and that lifestyle. So that again, like moving here to Bali, starting our business, this particular like more online version of our business was all new, but it was by choice that we moved here. So it was like, let's come, let's try it. And it's been so supportive. So you're totally right. Like where you live has an impact, your house has an impact in terms from a Feng Shui perspective, but just even surrounding yourself with the right people, right food. It's all, living in Ubud is like living in a bubble, a beautiful bubble of positivity, basically.
Yeah. It's true. That's what I felt also, that, when I was there. Awesome. So also tell me more a little bit what your first encounter with Feng Shui. You said that you had a little bit of seed of interest since you were little. So how did you, came across?
So like we moved house 22 times when we were younger. Like, so my parents like were living in one house, and then they were like, this isn't big enough. And we'd move to another one, redecorate it, do it up. And we just kept moving. And then sometimes we'd buy a house and that wouldn't be ready. They'd redecorate to move somewhere else in between. So I feel like that's where my interest came from. And I have no idea. I cannot remember where I heard the words Feng Shui, whether I saw it on TV or heard it on the radio. But for my 16th birthday, I asked for books about Feng Shui. And we were moving into a new house that a lot of myself and my sisters had a lot of input. I think we got to this teenage years where we're like, well, it's going to be my bedroom. I'm going to have the input in designing it. Like I want the input. Whereas in the past, it would be my parents going, this is what you're getting. So that was the time where I got these books, and I remember studying them and trying to read them. And just like so many other people, and I know this is a very common thread with my clients, is they get a book, they get all excited and they're like, this is amazing. And then they get to there's this really thin line where it goes from being understandable to being like completely like another language and really hard to implement, and you don't understand. And especially like a lot of women, it's like you have to use a compass, and you're like, what? Like, how do I use a compass? And way back as a 16-year-old, there was no iPhones. Like now there's an iPhone on your compass, so you can kind of go find the southeast, and they're like, oh, okay, how do I use my compass on my iPhone? Google. So that is something like, so since then I've been interested, and I did do some things about Feng Shui in my bedroom at that time. And fast forward, it was, oh my God, it was like 10 years later that I went to attract love into my life. So I had gone on this huge epic journey, moved to India, became a yoga teacher, had all this amazing training, and I came back to Ireland and was living in a new city in Dublin. And got a new apartment, and I was starting my then business in sound healing and my kind of holistic therapy business from scratch. And I wanted to attract love. And I was like, I'm ready now to attract the right
Yeah.
person. And of course, like when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And it was like, I literally went home one weekend, and there in the bookshelves, like my parents have still continued to move. Like I have no idea how many times they've moved. But there in the bookshelf, like out of all the books that had been decluttered, were my two Feng Shui books. And I was like, oh my God, that is so crazy. So I pulled them out and I'm like, okay, Feng Shui for love, do it in my bedroom. So I got it all set up. I did everything. And I was like, this is amazing. And I met my husband like a couple of months later. Like it was kind of like, wow.
Wow.
And I had everything set up. But when I went to his house, and he had feng shuied his bedroom. So he also is a feng shui consultant now. We both work together in our business, but it was just so crazy because I was like, he's definitely feng shuied this, and I didn't say anything to him. I was like, oh. But it was just so like it can be very obvious, and I was like, this is really a progressive place, and we were totally like meant to be. It was so amazing. But that then triggered this whole spiral into my clients. And my clients would be, because I was working with them, like releasing stress and trauma and anxiety and fear and lots of stuff. And I had a lot of children in my practice that came to me who had like special needs and autism. And I would be asking the parents, like whatever would be coming my sessions, I'd be like, tell me about their bedroom. Like what's going on with your sitting room? And they would be like going, what is this to do with my child's like mental like stability right now? And I'm like, there's something off, like there's something off. And that's literally what happened. Was I then trained in feng shui, dived straight in. I was like, I loved it. I was like, this is so good. And of course my clients I was like, do you remember I told you about the bedroom? They're like, yeah, and now you do the feng shui, come to our house. And it was this just automatic ripple. And I remember doing the training and kind of was like, oh my God, I know this. It was almost like this big information that I didn't know I had was like opened and I was like, wow. So from there on in, it just like really grew, and my passion for it grew because in the beginning when we used to do our consults in person, it was very different. Like now I work with people online. It's a much more not necessarily slower process, but we have more time rather than like here's all the information and be overwhelmed. Like implementation, and it's like just like you were telling me about your challenges. Like you can tell people, and we know mentally really good to do all of those things, but if they don't implement it, they're not going to see the changes. And it's the same thing with feng shui. So the way that we've redesigned it and really I try to just make it as simple as possible for people, being like, don't worry about reading a book, like this is what you have to do, this is how you do it, and we're going to give you a community to support you, and we're going to give you some community support you, and we're going to break it down in simple steps. And that has made a big difference, and kind of accountability about like implementation, because that's when you get the results. So it's been just an amazing journey. Yeah.
All right, that's amazing. It's definitely, you were connected to the topic for so many years, right? And then it's kind of your passion turned into your full-time job. So that's always probably the best way. And so break us down those steps. You said that there's maybe people read the book, then they join the community, and then you said you managed to break it down to more understandable steps of what is feng shui and stuff like that. So for a person like me who really knows about feng shui just from reading on the internet, I haven't yet even read the book, how would you break it down, what it is, and how to apply it to your life, and what are the areas of life are you could really apply it to the most easiest?
Yeah, so first of all, I just I really like the idea of just thinking back to when it originally was formed, and the reason it was built. And if we think back to ancient times, people did things with intention. Like buildings were built with intention, and they were like looked at, well, it's going to be like this with the sun, and it's going to be sheltered like this, and that's how feng shui really came about, was like positioning houses. And when we break feng shui down, it means for good health, and also good and good harvest. So harvest is the prosperity. So it's like whatever seeds you sow into the world, it's reaping the prosperity back. So essentially feng shui is about creating a home that is good for your health and good for money. Like, and if we have both of those, like I think that most houses and most people will be really happy. So that's where it really, the seed of it is. And each house has its own unique personality. So they're all unique and different, but every part of your home represents a different part of your life. So I like to describe the work as a Feng Shui consultant just like the same work as an acupuncturist. We do acupuncture for homes. So if the energy is flowing really happy, like you're just going to be, and like, you know, the acupuncture is like, there's not much, I'm just give you a top up, I give you a few tweaks, get your energy boost you a little bit. But if the energy is really tough and things are like a struggle and hard in your life, a lot of times we turn into ourselves and blame ourselves, and we're like, it's my fault, I'm not working hard enough, I haven't done enough personal development, I need to do more of mindset work, you know. And our coaches are, you know, they're on our back, like we're on our own backs. And for me, what I have found is a lot of my clients, it's not their fault. It's actually the house and the energy of their house that is affecting what's happening and creating and attracting in their lives. So your house could be like a magnet. It can be a magnet for what you want, or it could be actually repelling what you want. And that's essentially what we do. We just turn the energy around. So like if you were to start with like the basics, and I have a really nice training that I do for people that, you know, I start at your front door. You know, your front door is like the mouth of your house. You have to like even think about your house, like if we're going back to Feng Shui as acupuncture for your home and thinking about your house as like a person, it has eyes, windows, so you can like clean your windows so you can see out, see where you're going, you can see what's coming at you. Because if it's blurry, you can't see, and it's like blocking your vision. So you kind of like it's stumbling in the dark. Again, your mouth, where we feed our energy into our own bodies, it's the same with your front door. This is where the energy comes in. So if it's hard to open, maybe it's a struggle for you in life to kind of let things in, you know, capacity to receive. But at the same time, it's blocking the good stuff in, like the money, the love, the happiness, the health, all of those aspects. So because that energy comes in and it really just flows around your house. And then each part of our body has an organ that has a specific function, and it's exactly the same thing in terms of your home. Every single part of your home has a part of it that represents a part of your life. So there would be the prosperity area and the health and well-being area, the career area. And like people can be listening to this going, this sounds crazy. And honestly, I have a lot of clients who in the beginning, especially their husbands, will be like super skeptical. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't know what you've done with this Feng Shui, like, but, you know, this is feeling better, or I just got a bonus, or I just got a job, or, you know, things that start to ripple because the energy starts to flow in a much more positive way. And it can sound kind of crazy, but at the same time, for me, like when I started it and started implementing the things, big things started to change. Like my clients, I started getting more clients. I started getting more visible in the media. You know, my husband got like loads more work. We actually finished our house. And one of the things was when I moved in with him, we feng shuied the house together. And he had built it 8 years ago. Or 8 years previously, and he had never had the money to finish it. Like it was always in and out. So when you opened that front door, right in front of it was a big, huge window. And essentially all the energy came in that lovely front door and flew straight out the back door. Okay. So we put up curtains, we put up nets, we put like a little, you know, we put furniture in there because actually he couldn't even afford furniture. Like it was like concrete floors when I moved in. And within a few months, we had the finances to finish the house, like, you know, carpets, furniture, like everything. It was like, what's just happened? And for us, like that transformed our lives because then we started having a guest house there. We had B&B guests, my business. It was this huge going, wow. And then the ripple effect was our family and friends and my clients going, what's happening in your life? You just got a new car. And I'm like, I'm telling you, the only thing that happened was we worked with the energy of our home to support us. And for me, it's like your house can be like a vision board for what you want to create. And, you know, you've got those gorgeous images behind you of gratitude and work and kindness and all those. And like literally having those images and having things that represent where you're going in your life is a really, really positive to be able to create that life for you. So a lot of houses can be full of stuff that is like connected with your past and not even positive memories, you know? So one of the first things that I get like my clients to do, and I say to pretty much everyone I ever talk to, they're like, where do I start? I'm like, start at your front door, make sure you can get in, clean it, make sure it feels good, that you're happy when you come home. And then have a look around your house and see what's in your house that's hanging around that you don't use, that's broken. You know, like clutter has a bad reputation because people think it means that it's messy. your house could be immaculate and there could be clutter. Like it's in behind those cupboards, it's books that you haven't read for like 5 years sitting on the shelf that you don't want to let go of and you're not going to read again. Like, what is that doing? It is stagnant. And one of the things with acupuncture and feng shui is like we don't want stagnant energy in our house or in our bodies. We want movement and flow. So anything that's stuck stationary is just going to really just stagnate and hold the energy. So like bringing nature in, keeping your windows open. Like this sounds like basic stuff, but when you go into those little nooks and crannies or those corners where you open a drawer that just is full of stuff and you're like, I don't want to touch it, like all that is just sitting there stagnating. And that part of your home, it could be your money area, it could be your career area, it could be your health area. And I have like a funny story about a client.
Sure.
Years ago, like I did a challenge in my Facebook group, and it was a decluttering challenge. So it was just like, okay, let's go do your handbag today, let's do your wallet tomorrow, and do different parts. And it was great. We had so much fun in the group. And one woman in particular, I had met her like maybe a few months earlier, and she had heard me talking so fondly about my husband Ken, and she was single, and she's like, I really want I'd like to meet someone. Actually, I want my very own Ken. And she just said it just out like that. And we did the decluttering challenge. She was 100% on board, and within a few days she met a guy called Ken. And the only thing that had changed was her decluttering. So she met a guy called Ken who lived 5 doors down from her for years, and she had never met him before, and they're still together. So I was like, that is like the best part, because maybe in this podcast we talk a little bit about like manifesting and be clear what you want and what you want to desire and call in. And for me, like creating the environment that is fertile for planting those seeds and for those intentions, for what your wishes are and for your desires. So I help my clients get a lot clearer with what they want, but clearer in areas that they may not have thought about. Like how do you want to be in the world? Like how vibrant and healthy do you want to be? We kind of like when you're like, what do people want? They want happiness and money and a relationship. Like they're the top 3. But yeah, how do you want to feel in like what about your spiritual development? Really about getting clarity around those areas and then planting those seeds and intentions into the specific parts of your home. So yeah, it's just a really kind of magical alchemy between clarity and getting the energy right, and then it all just like flourishes pretty amazingly.
All right, that's great to hear, because I already love this, because I already have ideas how we could improve our home, and we are also just bought an apartment. We are now doing the whole construction work to redecorate and stuff like that. So at the current apartment we have a chance to declutter and just make it kind of let's say improve what it is now. At the new place we have a chance to start from zero, right? So
yeah.
So that's probably gonna be a little bit easier, right, when you start from zero.
Yeah.
But I already
sure.
I could already connect. I definitely have books that nags me. And I was like, I should still read them. I should still read them. I definitely have that drawer where everything is just put in, and I just like I find my stuff and I close it. I do it next week. So yeah, I think I'll put myself a goal to declutter my house, to have every piece, every drawer, every cupboard, to bring me positivity when I open it, rather than
for sure.
some sort of a stress, and yeah.
Yeah. And actually, just in terms of like moving to a new place, I just think it's like the best opportunity to really be clear with like, do I really want to bring this? Like, is it broken? Am I just making do with it? Like, does it represent where I'm going with my future? Like, does it represent does it mirror what I'm trying to create in my life in my new place? Like, that is because when you look at it, you're like, oh, actually, no, like, or oh my God, definitely. And then it goes over, and then that everything you bring with you to that new place is aligned with what your vision is for creating that new environment. So it's like a really good, it's a great opportunity to start with the blank canvas like that. Yeah, for sure. It's very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait to kind of, already reach that phase where we can start decorating and put stuff in, and put as least stuff as possible in.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are the common misconceptions about Feng Shui? So what are people get wrong most of the time?
So there's different schools of feng shui, and the first thing that came into my mind was actually people think that it's like some kind of witchcraft or some kind of like ancient, really spooky thing, and or new age and woo woo, and that like actually really drives me crazy because I'm like feng shui is 5,000 years old. Like it is, there's nothing new about it. So all we're doing is we're really just honoring that ancient tradition, and all different cultures all around the world have their own specific ways of feng shui. Like India have the Vastu, like in Celtic shamanism, I've also come across things that were done in specific ways. So it's like it's all integrated. It's all every thread and lineage has its own way, and I just practice it through feng shui. And some of the other misconceptions are like, you can't have mirrors, you can't do don't have a black or a blue door, it's bad luck, or I've heard like that, or that you're going to have to hang lots of weird things in your house, or weird like hanging trinkets or frogs and things. I'm not really into that type of feng shui. I'm really just about getting the energy right. And my favorite feng shui in a person's house is when someone comes to visit them and they feel, oh, this house is so nice. Oh, I had the best night's sleep last night. Oh, your life is going amazingly. And they don't see anything different. Like their house looks the same, but it feels very different. And that's really the most important part. And their life looks different, but that their home aesthetically, how they want it to be is left intact with what they want in it. So that's one of the or that I'm going to tell everyone to throw everything out. So just in terms of decluttering is really important, but I'm not a minimalist. Like, oh my God, no, that's just not even kind of in my personality. I like to have stuff but in terms of or painting your whole house white, that's not going to happen either, or knock any walls. So that can be kind of things that people are scared of. But I would say that really it's an opportunity for just, if there's something that people are feeling stuck in their lives for, it's like a mirror. Your physical environment is a mirror to what's going on in your inner life. So in your inner world. So that's a really nice play out, that if the energy is not happy in your prosperity area, you're just going to have trouble with your finances, no matter how hard you work, which is kind of annoying. But then once my clients figure that one out, they come in with, they're like, oh, that's great. Now I'm like, I actually just saw one woman posted yesterday in our group saying, oh my God, I'm making more money and I'm working less days. And I'm like, great. I've got new sources of income, and I'm like, yay. So it's about creating a life that you just love, basically, and helping create that within a supportive environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that gives me a couple of questions. So one thing is about the colors. I want to ask you, you mentioned in the list of misconceptions of, you mentioned that people maybe focus too much on the colors, but what is the effect of the colors? Are there any rules of Feng Shui and colors?
So my general rule with Feng Shui around colors is keep it simple. So go for neutral, calm tones. Our body and our mind is affected, and our energy is affected by colors dramatically. So the two colors that I would really avoid using excess of is red and blue. And red, because it's fire. Okay, so it's a color of passion, so it's very energetic, but in terms of having that in your bedroom, it will be too much fire energy. And we know that fire is very powerful because it can start things, it gives you energy, but also it's very destructive. So too much of it will be just way too much fire energy. And essentially we are working with the elements when I work with people to feng shui their homes. So every single I do work with colors and energy and colors, but if it's in a general thing, I'd be avoid too much red and avoid too much blue, because blue is the same. Blue is water, and blue is cooling, and it can be, and especially so, for example, pictures of water in your home. I remember one woman, she kind of came into the group and was like, oh my God, I've had this picture of a storm in my family area for the last 15 years, and that is exactly what it has been, stormy, and it's these images and the colors can really be impacting the energy of the space. So being mindful of that. So in terms of colors, I'm totally cool with splashes of colors that you love, but I keep it simple, and then add the elements in with your pictures or your cushions or your throws. For your bedroom, you want it to be calming and nurturing and very supportive, and for sleep. So crazy dark and deep colors will be just too much for you. So there are no hard and fast rules, but it's about, for me, it would be like keeping a minimum to those two colors. And then after that, like adding greens and purple, all the colors, whatever feels good for you. Because sometimes we're just energetically drawn to the colors that are best for us as well, and that we need around us. Like pink is one of my power colors. Like you'd never guess. Like this whole thing is pink and purple, like my favorite colors, and all my branding and everything. But they're colors that are really good feng shui colors for me. So that's my colors thing.
That's interesting. So what I hear, and you have to understand that, I really have no clue about Feng Shui, right? So it's very interesting, for me to listen to this. But what I hear is that most of the rules or guidelines of Feng Shui is in order to make sure that the place you live in, everything starting from how much stuff you have and what kind of stuff you have, to what kind of pictures you hang or the colors you paint your rooms and different areas of your house with. Basically, it's all meant to give you the energy you need to have. And it's what I understand that it's not only about maybe the majority of place should have the calming effect, but I assume that if you come if you have an office, home office, there you want to have those power emotions, right? There you want to have the energy, so you have to. So like you said that the pink, the purple gives you energy. That's why in your office you have those colors more dominant, right? But you probably wouldn't have that. I don't know, in your living area where you want to have more calmness there, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's a really great analogy. Yeah, and like I think that there's also it's great because there's different layers of feng shui. I can talk about like all these like simple basic things that you can talk about, like the colors and and not necessarily a placement of furniture. I'm not like that too interested in it. But when I started, I talked about every house is totally unique. So you can like doing all the different layers, like setting up your bedroom the right way, setting up your house, your office, and all of those are other kind of more details. And then beyond that is then working with a consultant who actually analyzes, like literally I'm just like the taking the chi measure of the house, saying this is what's off here, that needs to go there, that needs to go here to enhance that. So the nice part is wherever you're at, there's always something you can do. Like there's always like the next level. So you're starting on, okay, I'm just going to be really mindful what I bring in. That will create that every single small action is going to create a positive, is going to have a positive impact.
Mm-hmm. Understood. So you mentioned a couple of amazing success stories, also for yourself, like how you met your husband and so on. So but as in everywhere, this is not only success stories, right? So what do you see for those people that don't get the benefits of Feng Shui? That maybe they try, they do everything by the book, but maybe their life doesn't improve or something like that. Is there something that unites them? Some sort of a mistake they do, or it's just not for everybody, or?
So to be honest, like I don't know any people that are like, it hasn't worked for me. But I feel like sometimes if something particular isn't working for someone in their life, and this is where for me it was a huge part, because I had a lot of clients who were doing a lot of the inner work. So their energy, and this is where I can go, is like their energy is like rising up, and then they're going home to a house that's like pulling them back down again. So they're like, hey, I'm doing all my money, clearing all my beliefs around prosperity and abundance, but their house is bad for money. So it's just like, hey, come back down here. So they're spending all this time in this house is bad for money. Now, what happens though is very interesting, is that as they rise their energy and then they do feng shui, it brings their energy up. But then your house starts to pull you up. So it can be challenging. For example, just recently, one client, she was like, I've done everything. The money thing is still not working. So there was two things. We ended up just having a quick call, and I just looked at the setup of our office, and I'm like, the office, go back and do the module about the office. She still hadn't tweaked that. So she was sitting in a vulnerable position. She was still not 100, it was just not in a supportive. And she had it full of stuff. Like I was like, you still haven't mastered the decluttering thing. So we had a beauty of that. And the other thing I said, how organized are you around your finances? And she's like, oh, like I haven't sorted my taxes for the last 2 years, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you need to sort that out. Because actually what happens is, your house, especially when you've done everything in terms of like, from my perspective, like you've got your personal report, you've done everything that I've said based on your house, specific to its energy, the house, it's going to push you to sort your stuff out. So if there's discussions or arguments or things, if there hasn't been proper communication about certain parts of your life, and you're like, I want to be abundant, or I want to attract more money into my life, and you haven't got it sorted, and you don't believe yourself being worthy, that's when it pushes you into like, hey, you need to sort this out. Or you're going to get a few more bills in the post because it's like, hey, you're still not organized. So I feel like it's almost like this journey of like, it's a push. It's like it pushes you into more personal development to sort things out.
Yeah.
If it's still not working, it's like there's something going on the inside that needs to be cleared as well. And it's just mirroring back up going, you need to sort that out. So it's like you start with your house to get the environment right, and then it'll push you to sort any of the inner stuff that hasn't been quite addressed yet. And that can be kind of hard for some clients, and they can be a bit impatient. But I also, and that's one of the parts of my thing, because I've like basically a Mary Poppins bag of different transformational tools, I basically have another course that I give them as part of the process. And I'm like, here, these are the other things that I really genuinely believe in, and that you can work together, because it's because your house becomes a partner, like it becomes your co-creation and what you want to attract. So when you do the inner work yourself and your house is aligned, then it's like really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Yeah. So I can see, I've been also, doing this kind of, podcasts and talks, and just being this topic for a while now. And I can see, these things are all connected, visualization, law of attraction. Now I can see that Feng Shui is also kind of a very good addition to this whole practice of, visualizing and aligning your thoughts with your emotions, and not putting those emotional blocks, like if I want more money, but actually, doing taxes and looking at my bank account is something that I avoid because it just brings me so bad emotions, So basically, I want money, but currently money brings me bad emotions. This is all too many conflicts in your brain. Exactly. And once you untie them, once you solve those parts, things will start to flow easier. So that's great. For sure. That's great. That's great practical advice, I think. So Patricia, tell me more, about your business. So I know that your main website is patricialohan.com, right? Mm-hmm. So you already mentioned a couple of times that you do mainly these consultations. You do consulting for the Feng Shui and that topic. Is there, what's your main offering? What do you do?
So the main thing that we do is we run a program called Feng Shui Mastery, and that program basically is it's a group program where people come together and we create the personal reports for everybody. And as I said, I talked about implementation being a really, really important part, and community, because sometimes when people are doing Feng Shui, they feel like they're on their own, and their husband might be 100% on board. He's just like, okay, yeah. So we've got a beautiful community of people, and that started when we came to Bali and we wanted to do this, but do it online. So we create personal reports for everyone, and then we teach them through a 7-week program. So they get videos, they have a community and an ongoing support for as long as they want, and they want to implement Feng Shui into their lives. And that's like my main thing that we do, which is amazing. And then I have another offering when I work with people one-to-one. And when I work with people one-to-one, it's a different kind of process. Like it's the same information, but actually it's like the fast track. Like some people want to go in and watch all the videos and spend some time. Like it's like they're very different. So the other person is like, just tell me exactly what I need to do, Patricia. Yeah. And that's what would happen. So we get a good bit of information from people beforehand. Like obviously we get photos of their house and compass readings and floor plans. Like we accumulate a lot of information, and then we create the reports. And when I work with people one-to-one, it's like 3 sessions over 3 months. This is what you need to do. You can't do that until we've done this. Until you've done this, I'm not doing another session. So there's accountability and like consistent support in that journey as well. So they're the 2 main things that I do when it comes to Feng Shui, and I run then holistic retreats here in Bali. So it's just a beautiful journey of sharing the magic of Feng Shui in a way that I haven't ever seen it done before. We started because people used to ask me about it, and I had a Facebook community, and I'd be like doing stuff about Feng Shui and how to Feng Shui your vision board and different things. And then they were like, oh, tell us more. So I was like, okay, I'll do a small course. So we did a small basic course, and then the next time grew, and the next time it grew, and then it evolved, and we created personal reports for people. So yeah, it's been magical and amazing, and I love it, and I love the fact that there's so much support and accountability, doing it as part of a community. So for me, it's the same as having an online feng shui consultant come to your house, but
Yeah.
actually you do it as part of a group. So it's kind of like amazing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what I do. Yeah.
That's awesome. So happy for you. So happy to hear the passion and how things going. Really, really
Thank
amazing.
you.
I'm gonna put the link in the description of this video if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the show notes of this podcast episode if you're listening to this on audio. So everything will be there. The link to Patricia's website. I think you should go check it out, especially as you have this online community as well. That
Yeah.
means anybody in the world can really benefit from it.
Anyone,
That's
yeah.
exactly
And
that's
on my just for people who are like
of
wherever they
course.
are, and wherever you're starting with feng shui, if you come to the website, there's different options. So you might want to pimp up your office. There's a whole download of like how to feng shui your office. There's also a jumpstart your feng shui, just to kind of like, where do I start? What do I
Yeah.
start with? And then I have a prosperity guide as well, about like how to like pimp up your money area as well. So it's kind of like all aspects are covered. If you're kind of interested in some part and you want to improve some part, that's where I would start. Yeah.
And
So
and, and
come and
those
join.
and those resources are for free, or there's a paid membership?
Yeah, they're all for free.
Awesome, awesome. So we love free stuff. That's great.
Yeah,
So everybody should head to your website if they want to learn more.
yeah.
Um, awesome. So I think we're gonna wrap up this main part now and gonna
Yeah.
move to the rapid fire questions round. All right.
Yay.
Awesome. So the first question for you, Patricia, is what's the personal habit that made you a better person? And of course, let's try to go outside of Feng Shui.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
apart from feng shui, the personal habit that made me a better person, um, oh, yoga and journaling. That's really it, and I think it's the combination of both of them actually. But yeah, yoga, and yoga physically opened my body, and my whole life opened up in front of me that I never knew could possibly happen. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that. But also journaling is really
hmm
powerful as
And
well.
and and I'm just curious myself, how do you journal? Is this just like 5 minute gratitude journal, or you just
Sometimes it's gratitude, sometimes it's what's coming up for me, like sometimes it's just like what my visions, what I'm grateful for, what I'm grateful for in the future, what I'm grateful for right now. It kind of it plays, I feel like I don't have like a strict thing, but it's like
gotcha?
I love writing down, and my husband is like, oh my God, you're always writing, or you're always writing lists. Number one, lists, and I'm always writing on my journal.
Gotcha. And so what's the next habit you want to develop? What's next you want to really improve?
What's the next habit I really want to improve? Um, God, I actually want to really get more into my creativity at something. Like I love coloring, and something crazy like has happened in our group, and two of my participants have like who are never painters have started creating like basically masterpieces, and they're like, I was never even an artist, I knew what I could paint, and now they're like people are asking to buy their art, and I'm kind of looking at it going, I want to do that too. So, and I paint and everything, so I really feel like I want to just do more like creative stuff, whatever that is. So because I have creativity around my business, but just in terms of yeah, just more self-expression with with like paints or
Through
art.
art, and through
Yeah.
painting. Yeah, amazing. Um, a newsletter you don't delete.
A newsletter that I don't delete. I have two that I don't delete. I don't delete Denise Stuffield Thomas's newsletters. She's a friend of mine for like the last 20 years, and she's grown an amazing business and has been a huge mentor to me. And I just like do everything she ever has, and I'm just like, oh my God, amazing. And then after that, I really like Jeff Walker. I was like, he's a really good role model for amazing businesses and just a really genuine guy. So yeah, they're the two I don't delete.
Okay, that's good. I'm gonna put those links in the show notes for everybody, so you could just go and check them out.
Yeah.
And finally, a book that changed your life.
Um, the 4 Hour Work Week.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Tim
Okay.
Ferriss's The 4 Hour Work Week. Yeah. At the time when I remember actually the moment I was recommended it. I know what I was wearing. I know where I was standing. And my cousin's husband said, I think you'd like this book. And the next day I was in this tiny village in the west of Ireland in a bookshop, and there it was, and I was like, I'm buying that. And I did not realize that it would, and that was several years before I ended up here with an online business and outsourcing things. But it definitely planted it planted this life for me in my psyche. So yeah, that was a big game changer.
It's amazing. It's amazing that, but I also read it, and I've heard it's probably one of those books that changed so many people's lives, right? But actually, right? Like there are a lot of books, that change you emotionally. You can connect with it, and it gives you extra ideas. It gives you, some creativity. But like literally, that book changed so many people's lives. It just gave perspective at what's all those different roads you could take. Whereas before you were like, okay, I'm just gonna do the career thing. I'm gonna do stay at home mom or dad. All this kind of stuff. It actually just broadened the perspective. So that's awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
Great. So Patricia, thank you so much for joining. And what could be the best way to contact you for the people who would like to know more?
So people can come onto patricialohan.com and they can check out there and just log in and get one of those guides, whatever one suits. And then I am on Instagram as Lohan Patricia, and I'm also on Facebook, and I have my Dream Life and Biz Creators group, which is my Facebook group, which just went over 5,000 the other day, and I was like, oh my God. Amazing. So and that's a great place where I'm in and do lives and like bonus stuff and fun. So you can kind of come and join me there in the fun. So that's kind of where you can find me.
Amazing. We will definitely check that out as well. So once again, thank you so much for sharing the knowledge. I wish I kind of felt we only touched the surface of Feng Shui. There's you could really go.
There's so much.
There's so much. So but I hope for those people who kind of never heard of it, that was a good sort of a beginning of the crash course. And then of course for more information, they could reach out to you. They could check the resources on your website, and or just internet in general. So Thank you so much, Patricia.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you everybody. I hope that this made Feng Shui sound a lot easier and not as scary.
Hey superheroes, so I hope you enjoyed this episode with Patricia. You can find the show notes of this episode with all the links and resources that she mentioned by going to 21dayhero.com/Patricia. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, check out all the 21 day body and mind challenges that we have on our website. There's some really, really cool stuff that you can, try out, learn new things, expand your mindset, and simply grow and improve. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any sort of feedback for us, please leave a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube, or please leave a review if you're listening to this on audio. We appreciate them all. It doesn't have to be 5-star. We appreciate and learn from every single one. So I thank you guys. I appreciate you, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day.